plaintiff, Demetrius Soteropoulos, met the defendant when she was his waitress, and he allowed her and her boyfriend to live on his boat. Demetrius claims it was the worst experience of his life because the defendant and her boyfriend are both addicts, thieves, and pathological liars. Demetrius is suing for an unpaid loan. Defendant Rebecca King says Demetrius always flirted with her, and she thinks she's only in court today because she refused to have a relationship with him. Rebecca insists she repaid Demetrius and doesn't owe him another dime.
Start with you.
Judge, your reputation of being in service to others precedes you.
Thank you.
That's been my modus operandi for most of my 83 years. I've had qualified successes.
Hold on now. I was an example for you. And you're 83.
You just bolstered
So
my
that would make
efforts.
me over 100 if I was your role model. That means I'm over 100. I look pretty good over 100, don't
you do. Sure.
And he looks good for 83.
Yeah.
That's right. But thank you for the
So I've
compliment.
had qualified successes in my endeavors, but this last endeavor with these two is the worst experience I've ever had. This is a match made in hell. They're both pathological liars, thieves, and addicts. He's an alcoholic, and she's on opiates because I let them stay on my boat for 6 weeks. And when I had to clean up after them, I found a couple of pills from her.
Where did you meet them? Where did you know them from?
It's kind of convoluted, but I can
Take your time.
explain it. It started innocently enough. She was my waitress about several years ago, and we got along good. She introduced me to her then husband, who was a cook, and we exchanged pleasantries 2 or 3 times a week, and all of a sudden she was gone. Well, several years go by, and I was having lunch with my friend and my son, and lo and behold, who brings the food out but her? So we started a relationship again.
Friendship.
And we talked several different times, and on one occasion I said, "Hey, how are things going?" She said, "Oh, they're not doing so good." I said, "What?"
Don't ever ask anybody that. Oh, no, don't ask. Oh, no. Not if you got a couple dollars, sir. That's the worst thing. It's so hard for me to even give a salutation to people. I call for, how you doing? Oh, bad, real bad. Oh, my lights are out, and I just need a couple dollars. Things are horrible. I don't want to lay my burdens on you, but just thought I'd tell you. I don't even know how to say it. What's up with you? Oh, the only thing up is this rent is they just, but I don't know how to greet people. What you up to, man? Oh, I'm talking on the other line to the telephone company. Hey, that's the only thing I can do now when I call my friends or anybody. I can't say, hey, such and such. They say, hey, how you doing? I say, fine. And I can't ask them.
You just silent.
So, sir, never ask them how they're doing. Okay?
But in this case,
the end of that will always be they need you to make them do better. Go ahead. So in this case.
Well, in this case, she said, "Oh, I'm not doing so good. I got kicked out of my house." She did not reiterate at that point that they stole property from her mother, and her mother found out just after he sold it.
How did you come to find that out? How did you learn that?
Several different people told me about it.
Okay. All right. And let me hear from you, ma'am. Give me some background.
Okay, so I met him 4 years ago. Several years ago. And around that time is when we did start, just talking. He was a regular. I always take care of my regulars when they come in. And I always kind of kept him at a distance. He had some odd things that would go on. He invited me to come and see his pyramid that he was building. Kind of like a healing thing. Okay. He's all into the scientific and alien, his stories and things like that. So I always kind of kept him at a distance. But yeah, so then when I left, I went to a different restaurant, and lo and behold, he found me there too. And yes, he did help. He did help me.
All he did is ask you how you're doing, and he end up out of 10,000. You end up, it's only $200. That's not a bad how you doing.
You did worse.
Mine usually costs me $1,000. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume that the only reason all of this is going on is because that I wouldn't have some sort of relationship with him.
Did he try? Did he try? Did he say anything or otherwise give you an impression he wanted a relationship?
I mean, he always flirted. There was always a flirtatious end to it. Always.
You want to respond to the allegation that you and your partner or boyfriend, I'm not sure, fiance, boyfriend, that's it?
Oh, yeah, fiance.
Okay, did you want to respond that he says your mother alleged you all ripped him off and that's why she put you out?
Yeah, there's a whole backstory with my mother
all
and I.
Right, but you didn't rip her off, or did
No.
you? All right, good enough.
No, I did not.
I want to make sure folks don't think you ripped your mama off.
No, I
would be a
didn't.
dope
And
fiend.
anybody,
The only people I knew to do that
and anybody
are dope
that-
fiends.
anybody that's close enough to me knows the true story between my mother and I.
As long as you're not ripping her off. Let me hear your loan, sir. The specifics on the loan. What happened? How does she owe you?
Well, after I told her I'd gotten a fishing boat, and she said, "Oh, I'm interested in fishing. My boyfriend likes fishing too." I said, "Well, here, give me your number, and you guys come by, and I'll buy you dinner." Well, this lasted about several different months. All of a sudden, she calls. I said, "Well, come on over Friday, and I'll buy you dinner." Well, I should have taken a hint. I bought them dinner, and they bought the top of the menu.
Go ahead.
So anyway, he was out of a job. He had just gotten in an accident, and he didn't tell me the whole thing. He said, my company fired me because I wrecked a trailer. He didn't tell me that he had stolen a car from his, quote, stepfather and gotten in the accident and that he was cited for it.
How did you come to loan her money?
And so following this dinner, I said, "Well, you can come over and work on my boat. I have several different things to do." And I gave him some money in advance without having him worked on it. I think it was $200 to $300. And then he mentioned something about his car. I said, "Well, I don't want you to get behind in your payments and you're not working." He didn't tell me that he hadn't made any payments on the car and that he was kiting. And I gave him $150 for the car. And subsequent to that time, I found out they said, "Well, what happened to the car?" About 3 weeks later, they were living on my boat at the time. And I said, "What happened to the car?" "Oh, they just got it repossessed about a month ago."
To the loan.
That's just one of the other lies.
Is that talking about the boat? Is that the $290 you saw?
No,
that's
sir.
what I need you to get to
With
that.
their children.
All right.
For 6 weeks, I let them live on because they come to me and said, "Hey, we don't have any money and we're paying $1,000 in this room." "Okay, you can move on my boat."
Okay. Now, how did they come to owe you the money, though, this loan you're suing for?
Just after they moved off the boat, one day she comes in, she's all upset that her husband had drugs and crashed a car and had the children in it, and she wanted to go to Child Protective and file a case against them, and she needed $200.
All that talking, man, for $200?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where the 200 came from.
Yeah.
At the same time,
You could at least
he
got a
goes
couple
over.
thousand with that
Right.
story.
This was a guy that let him live in the house for 3 years without
get
paying
to
a
me?
cent for rent. And if I were a prosecutor, I would say, "Res ipsis loquitur." The act speaks for itself. Is that correct, Judge?
Yes, that is. All right. The law comes from Latin. Right. That's Latin language.
All right, so
Come on up, sir. State your name. What's your name?
Robert Wagner.
All right. He has said that you stole a car in the past.
I'm 27. I don't have no record. I got almost 10 years in the fire department. back
Never
home
been
as a
arrested
volunteer.
for any of
No,
this?
sir. I have
All
no
right.
record. I have 2 accidents on my record, and that's it. And that's traffic.
Okay. Now let's get once again, sir, to the loan. When did she borrow and when did she promise to
I had
repay?
worked for a gentleman doing some work and fixing his computers, and I told her she was over there working with another friend of hers, fixing a basement, putting drywall in a basement. And I said, "Will you get the money from him?" So she got the money from Larry, and then that's the last I heard of it. I went to see her.
Why isn't Larry suing her? Did you pay Larry back?
No, Larry owed me for work I did at him.
And you had Larry give her the money.
That's correct.
Don't go away. More of Judge Mathis is coming up. Defendant Rebecca King was friends with the plaintiff, and she claims the only reason he's suing Rebecca today is because she refused to date him.
Did Larry give you $200 on his behalf?
Yes.
Did you repay Larry or him?
I repaid him those several different occasions when he came over to the restaurant to eat on my tab. Deduct it from
Was
what
that
you
the
owe me.
agreement?
No,
you can't self-enforce
Objection,
the
Your Honor.
agreement in another way in which it was made. I'm going to grant you $200, sir, the amount of the loan. She admits to giving it. She says she took it out of the free meals that she gave you.
No.
And you can't arbitrarily satisfy a contract by changing it and trying to satisfy it in your own manner. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.